How's it going, everybody? Today, we're back to working on the Corvette. We're doing something that I've previously done. We're doing the fuel pump. So, been having issues, done tons of stuff, chased codes, fixed all the code problems, things like that, and still wasn't running right. Did a fuel pressure check with a fuel pressure gauge, and guess what? Low pressure. This was a new fuel pump put on about a year and a half ago, about the time I started having tons of problems with the car, things like that. We're going back in and putting in a different pump, new strainer, new pulsator, and hoping this fixes the problem. Can you say parts cannon? Here we go again. Be sure to subscribe down below, give you notifications whenever I post another Corvette video, so you can follow along as I try to get this thing back on the road. Now, I know some of you guys probably watched this last video. This one's gonna be a little bit clearer, a little bit better quality. I'll get some lights shining down in there. Something we are doing different this time though. I'm actually going to be dropping the fuel tank, cleaning that out, and spraying out the fuel lines with some pressurized air to make sure the fuel system is clean once we get this new fuel pump put in. And just like the last video, this cover comes off with 4 Phillips screwdrivers. Super simple. Accessing the tank and fuel pump assembly on this car is one of the easiest I've ever had to work on. And once we get those 4 screws out, just a matter of lifting that off, giving you access to everything below that lid right there. Okay, and then we got to remove the fuel cap, fuel filler cap, and then there's a liner inside here, and there's a hose connected to the backside, little drain hose, so that way if you overfill and it pops up here, it has somewhere to drain. So we just gotta get this thing kind of pried up and around here, and you just pull it up over the neck there. Like I said, there's a little drain hose on the back side of it. So it might be a little bit difficult just to get that piece out because that drain hose connects to something below. So you gotta kind of maneuver it around so you can get that thing off there. And kind of, here's what we're looking at. Here's this thing I'm prying out. There's that drain tube right there. And we're just gonna pry it off here to get this part out. And then once that's out of the way, pull the little neck thing out, set it off to the side, and now we can actually see the inside fuel pump assemblies connected. Super important. Relieve the pressure on the system before doing any fuel pump work. Up under the engine bay, there's a little Schrader valve on the back. That's right here in the fuel line. Just unscrew this, get yourself a rag or towels, put down there, use a screwdriver or something with a tip on it. Push that in, relieve the pressure. So that way when you disconnect this back here, there's not a bunch of built up pressure and doesn't shoot everywhere, spray everywhere, and give you a fire risk. You don't want that happening. Inside here, you gotta loosen these hose clamps. You're gonna loosen all 3 of these. The 2 on here are screw ones that someone's probably replaced at one point. This looks like it's probably the OE style crimp style, or these just came with these because these are pressure lines. But we're gonna disconnect all 3 of those, and then we'll have to disconnect the fuel pump. If you follow the power line here, you can see the plug is actually down here on the back side right there. And you're just gonna disconnect that piece. I use a rag here when I disconnect the lines because there's still gonna be some fuel in these lines. You can kind of see it's dribbling out there a little bit. I use the rag here just to kind of catch that so it doesn't go everywhere and make a mess. Once the fuel lines are disconnected, all 3 of them are disconnected there, we're gonna take out these 10mm bolts around the outside of this, and then we're gonna lift out the entire assembly as one unit here. Now I've got those bolts removed, and we are going to go ahead and pull out the sending unit assembly here. I'm being careful not to damage the float and everything attached to the pump assembly. And there we go. The next step is going to be to remove the gasoline from the tank. There's probably about a quarter of a tank in there. I don't know what this thing is, 12 gallons, 16 gallons. It's been a while since I filled this car up. I don't remember how many gallons it is. I've got a 5-gallon gas can that's empty, and I'm gonna use this fluid transfer pump to manually pump the fluid out of there as much as I can into there, so that way I can lower this fuel tank so I can clean it out. A couple of things that are important to note. Don't empty your fuel into like an open top container. Use a container like a gas tank. If you use like an open top container, like a engine oil drain collector or coolant thing, the fumes and stuff can come out. which creates a very dangerous environment, which could ignite, cause fire, all that stuff. So make sure you do this the right way. Put it into an enclosed container like a fuel tank, gas can. Use a pump like this to pump that out. Yeah, let's just say 2 popped out. Be careful. Don't let this happen to you. I did end up getting about 7 gallons out of here. You can see it's pretty much empty now. So now that that's done, I'm gonna go under the car and I'm gonna start unstrapping the gas tank straps so I can drop this thing down. I've got the handy dandy FSM, the Corvette Repair Manual, official GM service manual thing. And we're under fuel tank replacement. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the step. We've done up to about right here. Step 9 of 38. Step 10, you gotta take the license plate and bracket out. You gotta take the reverse lights out. You gotta take the stop lights out. You gotta take the third brake light out. And then you've gotta lift up the car. You have to take the spare tire off, unbolt the exhaust system, and pull the entire exhaust system off from the converter's back. Hold up. Wait, no. We're just doing a fuel pump. That's not even where it ends. It gets worse. You gotta take off your lower body panel supports, wheel houser linings. You gotta take off the bottom edge of the fascia to the energy absorption bracket. You gotta take off all the marker lamps. Take off the power antenna assembly. Take off the rear bumper. All of that comes off. So fascia off. Fascia off. Nope, not happening. Sorry guys. Came here to watch me take apart a C4 Corvette. That's not happening. I'm doing a fuel pump. I grabbed a fancy look in the fuel tank tool and I'm gonna take a peek in. And I'm just looking to make sure it looks pretty good. Honestly, you know, there's a couple little things of debris in there, but nothing super bad. So we're just gonna swap out the fuel pump, put the new pulsator on there, and reassemble. Hope for the best. And as much as I would love to drop this fuel tank out and show you guys how to clean it, if I am going to go through all that work, all that effort, I'm just gonna do a full C4 restoration at that point. It doesn't make sense to just drop the fuel tank after I've got everything pulled off. I may as well pull off the doors, pull off the wheels, pull the body off the frame at that point, and do a full restoration. Well, if this doesn't fix my car, that may happen, so you might still see that. Subscribe below, hit the notification icon. But right now, I'm just doing a fuel pump. So we're not gonna do all that extra craziness because I don't wanna spend the next 2 years cleaning the fuel tank. That's probably what would happen. So we're just gonna do that fuel pump today. I'll show you guys how to do that. And then here's what we're working with for the fuel pump. Got a fuel pump here. We've got a little insulator rubber thing that goes around to there, little rubber, some hose clamps. Here's the new pulsator, and then the strainer for the bottom of the fuel pump. Here's the old assembly. If you guys watched my last video, you know I pulled the pulsator out right here and replaced it with this hose. Well, we're going back to the OE style where that'll be a pulsator with the fuel pump below it there. And I'm gonna pay attention to how this pump's installed, the electrical connectors on the side where the filler neck is. So I'm just gonna make sure when I put the new one in there, that's how it is. It will only fit in the bracket one way down here anyway because of the way that the little pickup assembly thing is on there. So there's not too much of a chance of messing this up, but we're gonna go ahead and get this thing reassembled with this pulsator on there and everything ready to go. So new assembly done, strainer, pump, pulsator, the whole unit. Getting ready to drop this back in, and then we're gonna put brand new fuel in the tank and see if this thing starts up. Like I said, it doesn't look like it's super dirty inside the tank, so I'm not that worried about it, to be honest. There's not like a bunch of crud in the bottom or anything. I saw a couple little specks. Not that worried about it. Don't think that's gonna cause any damage. But I'll know right away whether this is the problem or not. If the car starts up and runs fine, I know this is the problem. If it starts up and runs the way it has been, well, I just did a fuel pump for no reason. You just install this thing the opposite way. You took it out, bolt it back in, clamp it back down, and we're gonna go ahead and fill it up now, and we're not gonna put the liner and assembly together until after we get some fuel in there, turn the ignition on without starting the car, and just check for leaks. Make sure it's not leaking back here. Okay, we got fuel in the car. Key is turned on. Just looking to see if there's any leaks back here. Nothing standing out as far as leaks, so I think we're gonna try to fire this thing up here. Man, moment of truth, guys. Well, she's running, but I don't know that she's running great. Doesn't sound like she's running the way it should, so I'm gonna say still not fixed. Fuel pump, not the issue. It still could be like the catalytic converter plugged. It could still be cam wore out. I mean, there's so many things it could still be. There are no trouble codes though, so all the sensors are operating correctly. I'll throw a fuel pressure gauge back on it, just make sure the fuel pressure's back up, and I'll throw my laptop back on there, I'll plug it in and just watch the sensors, see if there's anything crazy going on there. But the last time I did that, it was just showing really lean fuel, which was another reason I thought maybe the fuel pump would fix it. But at least now I know it's got a working fuel pump, it's got the pulsator like it's supposed to have. You know, I don't know what I'll end up doing with this car. Maybe I will end up pulling the motor still and just building the motor for it. Maybe I'll just pull the cats off and beat the crap out of the inside of them and see if that fixes it. But be sure to subscribe, hit that little notification icon, so whenever I post more Corvette videos, you guys get to watch me do crazy things to my car, and maybe one of these days you'll get to watch it actually start up and run. So until next time.